The people who effortlessly achieve extraordinary results know something that the rest of us are missing. It's not what you think, and it's definitely not what they teach in productivity courses or self-help seminars. Stay with me, because this changes everything. Most people believe that focus is about willpower, forcing yourself to concentrate harder, using more discipline to resist distractions, or training yourself to maintain attention through sheer mental effort. They think that building focus means developing the ability to work longer hours, juggle more priorities, or push through discomfort with greater determination. But this force-based approach to concentration is exactly why most people struggle with chronic distraction, despite their best efforts. Right now, you're probably fighting a losing battle against an environment designed to fragment your attention. Your phone buzzes with notifications, your mind jumps between competing priorities, and you feel pulled in multiple directions simultaneously. You've likely tried various focus techniques, meditation apps, website blockers, productivity systems, time-blocking methods, only to find yourself back in scattered, reactive patterns within days or weeks. What I'm about to reveal will completely transform your understanding of what focus actually is and how to develop the kind of laser-sharp concentration that separates high achievers from everyone else. You'll discover that ruthless focus isn't about forcing your mind to concentrate. It's about creating such clear priorities and compelling direction that your attention naturally locks onto what matters most and refuses to be diverted by anything less important. By the end of our time together, you'll understand that true focus is ruthless, not because it's harsh or aggressive, but because it's absolutely uncompromising about what deserves your mental energy. You'll learn to build what I call predatory focus, the kind of sustained, penetrating attention that identifies the most valuable targets and pursues them with relentless precision while ignoring everything else. This isn't just about getting more done. It's about developing the mental clarity and directional power that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Have you noticed how much of your mental energy gets consumed not by important work, but by the constant effort required to manage, resist, and refocus away from the endless stream of distractions competing for your attention? There's something happening beneath the surface that most of us miss because we're focused on fighting individual distractions rather than understanding why our minds have become so vulnerable to fragmentation in the first place. Picture this. You sit down with the intention of working on your most important project for 2 hours of deep, concentrated effort. Within the first 10 minutes, you've already checked your email twice, glanced at your phone 3 times, and mentally rehearsed a conversation you need to have later. Your mind feels like a butterfly in a hurricane, constantly moving but never settling on anything long enough to make meaningful progress. You try to force your attention back to the task, but it feels like swimming upstream against a powerful current. Every few minutes, another thought, notification, or mental interruption pulls you away from your intended focus. By the end of your scheduled work session, you've been busy for 2 hours, but have accomplished perhaps 20 minutes worth of actual concentrated work. The rest of your time was consumed by the exhausting process of repeatedly redirecting your scattered attention. This scenario plays out millions of times every day because modern life has created what neuroscientists call continuous partial attention. A state where your mind is always somewhat engaged with multiple stimuli, but never fully concentrated on any single experience. Your brain has been rewired by constant stimulation to expect and seek novelty, creating an addiction to mental variety that makes sustained focus feel almost physically uncomfortable. The deeper issue is that we're living in what researchers call an attention economy, a system where your focus has become the most valuable and fought-over resource. Every app, website, social media platform, and digital service is designed by teams of neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists to capture and hold your attention as long as possible. They use sophisticated techniques like variable reward schedules, social validation loops, and fear of missing out to create what's essentially mental hijacking software for your consciousness. But the problem extends beyond just digital distractions. Modern culture has created an environment that rewards and reinforces scattered attention patterns. Multitasking is celebrated as a skill, rather than recognized as a destructive habit. Being constantly available and responsive is seen as professionalism rather than a recipe for mental fragmentation. Having a packed schedule full of competing priorities is viewed as success rather than a sign of unclear priorities. This cultural conditioning has trained most people to operate in what psychologists call reactive mode, constantly responding to external stimuli rather than directing attention from internal purpose. Your mind becomes like a pinball, bouncing between whatever happens to capture its attention most strongly in each moment. This reactive pattern makes deep work, creative thinking, and strategic planning extremely difficult because they require sustained, proactive engagement with challenging material. Think of your attention like a high-powered laser that's been broken into dozens of weak, scattered beams. Each individual beam lacks the power to cut through anything significant, but when properly focused, that same energy could slice through steel. Most people are trying to accomplish laser-level results with scattered beam attention, which explains why they feel constantly busy but rarely achieve breakthrough outcomes. The fragmentation problem is compounded by what researchers call attention residue, the mental fog that persists when you rapidly switch between different types of tasks. Each time you shift focus, part of your attention remains stuck on the previous activity, reducing your cognitive capacity for the current one. By the end of a day filled with constant task switching, your mental clarity is so compromised that even simple decisions feel overwhelming. Perhaps most insidiously, chronic distraction creates a vicious cycle, where the inability to focus deeply reduces confidence in your ability to handle complex challenges, leading to avoidance of important but difficult work in favor of easier, more immediately gratifying activities. This avoidance pattern reinforces the distraction cycle and gradually erodes your capacity for the sustained mental effort that meaningful achievement requires. When you understand that scattered attention isn't a personal failing, but a predictable response to an environment designed to fragment focus, you can stop blaming yourself for lack of willpower and start developing the specific skills necessary to reclaim control over your mental resources. Building ruthless focus isn't about becoming immune to all distractions. It's about developing such powerful directional clarity that most distractions become irrelevant to your mission. Let me tell you about a legendary hunter in ancient Mongolia who was renowned throughout the steppes for his ability to track and capture the most elusive prey, even in conditions where other skilled hunters would return empty-handed. Nomadic tribes would seek him out when winter supplies were running low or when they needed to hunt the swift, intelligent animals that provided the most valuable resources. When a young tribesman approached the master hunter, eager to learn his secrets, he expected to discover advanced tracking techniques, superior weapons, or special knowledge about animal behavior. Instead, he found the hunter sitting motionless beside a waterhole, watching the landscape with an intensity that seemed almost supernatural. "Master," the young man whispered, "I've been watching you for hours, but you haven't moved. How can you catch anything by just sitting still? Shouldn't we be actively pursuing our prey?" The hunter continued his silent observation for several more minutes before responding. "Tell me," he said quietly, "what do you see when you look at this landscape?" The young hunter scanned the area and replied, "I see rocks, grass, the waterhole, some birds, a few small movements that might be rabbits, some wind patterns, clouds. There's a lot happening." "Exactly," the master nodded. "You see everything, which means you see nothing. Your attention is scattered across the entire environment like seeds thrown on the wind. But watch how I see." The master hunter then demonstrated something that would transform the young man's understanding of focus forever. Instead of trying to observe everything simultaneously,
He showed how he systematically eliminated irrelevant information from his awareness until only the most essential patterns remained visible. First, I eliminate what doesn't serve my purpose. I'm not hunting birds today, so I stop seeing birds. The wind patterns don't affect this particular prey, so I stop tracking wind. The rocks are permanent features, so I stop noticing rocks. Gradually, I remove everything that doesn't contribute to my specific objective until only the relevant information remains. What remained after this process of elimination was an incredibly detailed awareness of subtle movement patterns, feeding behaviors, and environmental signs that would be completely invisible to someone trying to pay attention to everything at once. The hunter had developed what he called predatory focus, the ability to lock onto specific targets with such intensity that everything else faded into the background. Over the following weeks, the master taught the young hunter that this principle applied to much more than hunting. Most people, he explained, try to be aware of everything around them, thinking this makes them more capable. But the warrior, the craftsman, the wise leader, they all understand that power comes from the courage to ignore what doesn't serve their mission. The apprentice learned that developing ruthless focus required what the master called purposeful blindness, the disciplined practice of consciously choosing not to see, hear, or respond to anything that didn't advance the specific objective at hand. This wasn't about being unaware or insensitive, but about being so clear on priorities that everything else became background noise.
When you hunt the wolf, the master taught, you must become like the wolf, single-minded, patient, absolutely committed to your target. The wolf doesn't get distracted by every sound or movement. It identifies what it wants and pursues it with complete dedication until the objective is achieved. The most profound lesson came when the apprentice realized that the master's extraordinary hunting success came not from superior physical skills, but from mental discipline that most people never develop. He had trained his mind to maintain unwavering focus on chosen objectives, despite constant environmental distractions and competing stimuli. True focus, the master concluded, is ruthless because it requires you to be merciless in eliminating everything that doesn't serve your purpose. Most people are afraid of this level of selectivity because they think they might miss something important. But the hunter who tries to track every animal catches none, while the hunter who focuses on one target never goes hungry. Years later, when the apprentice had become a master hunter himself, he understood that the most valuable teaching hadn't been about hunting techniques. It was about developing the mental discipline to identify what mattered most and pursue it with uncompromising focus, while ignoring everything else, no matter how interesting or tempting those alternatives might appear. This ancient wisdom reveals something timeless about the nature of exceptional achievement. It requires the courage to be ruthlessly selective about where you direct your mental energy, even when the selectivity means saying no to seemingly valuable opportunities that don't serve your highest priorities. Here's what transforms everything about building ruthless focus. Focus isn't about concentrating harder on more things. It's about becoming absolutely ruthless in eliminating anything that doesn't serve your most important objectives. Most people approach focus like they're trying to become better at juggling, keeping more balls in the air simultaneously while maintaining control over each one. They attempt to pay attention to everything important while resisting distractions through willpower and discipline. But this addition-based approach to focus is exactly what keeps them trapped in patterns of scattered attention and mediocre results. Let me tell you about Sarah, a talented executive who had been struggling with what she called focus problems
for years. Despite being intelligent and hardworking, she felt constantly scattered across too many priorities and unable to make significant progress on her most important projects. She had tried every focus technique available: meditation, time blocking, productivity apps, attention training exercises, but nothing created lasting improvement. Sarah's breakthrough came when she stopped trying to focus better and started focusing less. Instead of attempting to give quality attention to her 12 different priority projects, she identified the single most important objective for her career and systematically eliminated everything else from her immediate focus. This elimination process was initially terrifying because it meant consciously choosing not to work on many projects that seemed valuable and urgent. She had to say no to meetings that could be useful, decline opportunities that looked promising, and stop monitoring developments that felt important but weren't essential to her primary objective.
The transformation was dramatic. When Sarah concentrated her complete mental energy on just one major goal, instead of fragmenting it across multiple priorities, her effectiveness increased exponentially rather than proportionally. The quality of her thinking improved, her creative problem-solving abilities emerged, and she began producing work that caught the attention of senior leadership in ways that her previous scattered efforts never had. Most remarkably, Sarah discovered that focusing ruthlessly on one important objective actually created more opportunities and better results than trying to advance multiple objectives simultaneously. Her exceptional work on the single priority led to recognition, resources, and strategic positioning that opened doors she never could have accessed through divided attention. This experience revealed a revolutionary insight about focus. The mathematics of attention are not linear. Giving 100% focus to one important thing doesn't produce results that are incrementally better than giving 25% focus to 4 things. It produces results that are exponentially better because sustained, undivided attention enables breakthrough thinking, creative synthesis, and execution quality that fragmented attention can never achieve. The insight challenges our cultural programming that equates busyness with productivity and involvement with importance. Most people are afraid to focus ruthlessly because they worry about missing opportunities, disappointing others, or falling behind in areas they're neglecting. But this fear is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how exceptional results are created. Extraordinary achievement almost always comes from sustained excellence in specific areas, rather than competent performance across many areas. The entrepreneur who builds a revolutionary company, the artist who creates enduring work, the scientist who makes breakthrough discoveries, they all share the ability to focus ruthlessly on what matters most, while being deliberately oblivious to everything else. The ruthlessness of this focus isn't about being harsh or aggressive. It's about being uncompromising in your selectivity. Ruthless focus means that you're absolutely clear about what deserves your mental energy and completely unwilling to dilute that energy with competing demands, no matter how reasonable those demands might seem. This level of selectivity requires what psychologists call positive neglect, the conscious decision to ignore good opportunities in order to pursue great opportunities. It means being comfortable with saying no to projects that could be valuable, relationships that could be beneficial, and activities that could be enjoyable, because they would divert energy from your highest priorities. The revolutionary aspect of this insight is that it inverts the typical relationship between focus and opportunity. Instead of trying to maintain focus while pursuing multiple opportunities, you use ruthless focus as a filter that reveals which opportunities are truly worth pursuing. Your focused attention becomes a scarce resource that you allocate only to objectives that meet the highest standards of importance and alignment.
When you understand that focus is fundamentally about elimination rather than concentration, everything changes about how you approach attention management. You stop trying to pay attention to everything and start becoming ruthlessly selective about what deserves your attention. You develop what we might call predatory focus, the ability to identify the most valuable targets and pursue them with relentless precision while ignoring everything else.
This approach creates a positive feedback loop where focused effort produces exceptional results, which create better opportunities which justify even more focused attention, leading to an upward spiral of increasing effectiveness and achievement. The person with ruthless focus doesn't just get more done, they achieve fundamentally different and better outcomes than those who scatter their attention across multiple priorities. Foundation 1. Elimination. The first foundation of ruthless focus is developing the skill and courage to systematically eliminate everything that doesn't serve your most important objectives, rather than trying to give adequate attention to multiple competing priorities simultaneously. Most people approach their work and life like they're trying to water every plant in a vast garden with a single small watering can. They attempt to give some attention to everything that seems important, resulting in nothing receiving the sustained focus necessary for breakthrough results. But ruthless focus operates on the principle of deliberate scarcity, concentrating all available resources on the targets that matter most. Elimination begins with brutal honesty about what actually advances your most important goals versus what merely keeps you busy or makes you feel productive. This requires distinguishing between activities that create real value and activities that simply maintain the status quo or serve other people's priorities rather than your own. The practice of elimination involves what we might call opportunity triage, rapidly categorizing every demand on your attention into 3 categories: essential, directly serves your highest priorities; useful, somewhat valuable but not critical; and distraction, consumes energy without meaningful return. The goal is to eliminate everything in the distraction category and most things in the useful category to create space for exceptional performance in the essential category. This foundation also requires developing comfort with disappointing others who benefit from your scattered attention. When you focus ruthlessly on what matters most to you, you necessarily become less available for requests, projects, and social obligations that serve other people's objectives rather than your own. This selectivity often feels uncomfortable initially, but is essential for achieving extraordinary results. Elimination isn't a one-time activity, but an ongoing discipline of regularly auditing your commitments and activities to identify what can be removed, delegated, or minimized. As your skills and opportunities evolve, what deserves elimination changes, requiring constant vigilance to prevent your focus from becoming diluted over time. Foundation 2. Concentration. The second foundation involves developing the capacity for sustained, deep concentration on your chosen priorities for extended periods without mental fragmentation or attention drift. This concentrated attention is what enables breakthrough thinking, creative synthesis, and execution quality that scattered focus can never achieve. Concentration has become increasingly rare in our hyper-connected world, but it's the foundation of all exceptional achievement. When you can focus completely on important work without internal distraction or emotional resistance, you access levels of cognitive performance and creative insight that most people never experience. This foundation requires both external conditions and internal disciplines that support sustained attention. External conditions might include distraction-free work environments, protected time blocks, and clear boundaries with others about when you're available for interaction. Internal disciplines include the ability to notice when your mind wanders and gently return it to your chosen focus without self-criticism. The practice of concentration also involves learning to work with different types of mental energy throughout the day. Creative work requires different conditions than analytical work, which requires different conditions than routine administrative tasks.
Matching your most important work to your peak mental energy periods while handling routine tasks during lower energy times maximizes the impact of your concentrated effort. Concentration builds on itself over time, like physical fitness. The more you practice sustained attention on challenging work, the stronger your capacity becomes for even longer and deeper periods of focus. This compound effect means that developing concentration creates increasing advantages over time rather than just immediate improvements. This foundation also includes learning to find intrinsic satisfaction in the process of concentrated work itself, rather than only finding motivation in external rewards or recognition. When deep focus becomes inherently rewarding, maintaining concentration requires much less willpower and discipline. Foundation 3. Direction. The third foundation is establishing crystal clear direction for your focused efforts so that your concentrated attention consistently advances your most important long-term objectives, rather than getting trapped in urgent but unimportant activities. Direction provides the strategic framework that guides your elimination and concentration decisions. Without clear direction, even sustained focus can lead to impressive but ultimately meaningless achievements that don't contribute to your larger goals and values. Direction ensures that your ruthless focus serves your authentic priorities, rather than just creating busy work at a higher level of intensity. This foundation requires regular strategic thinking about what you're ultimately trying to achieve and why it matters to you personally. This isn't just goal setting, but developing a compelling vision that provides emotional motivation for the sacrifices that ruthless focus requires. When you're clear about your direction, saying no to competing demands becomes much easier because you understand exactly what you're saying yes to instead. Direction also involves understanding the difference between objectives, what you want to achieve, and activities, what you do each day. Many people confuse being busy with making progress because they're focused on activities rather than outcomes. Clear direction keeps you oriented toward results rather than just effort. The practice of direction includes regular review and adjustment of your focus based on changing circumstances and evolving understanding of what's most important. What deserves ruthless focus at one stage of your development may not be the right target at the next stage, requiring ongoing strategic thinking about where to direct your concentrated efforts. This foundation also involves developing what military strategists call situational awareness, understanding how your focused efforts fit into larger competitive and environmental contexts. This awareness helps you direct your focus toward opportunities that not only serve your objectives, but also position you advantageously relative to changing conditions. Foundation 4. Persistence. The fourth foundation is developing the capacity to maintain ruthless focus over extended periods, working through obstacles, setbacks, and the inevitable challenges that arise when pursuing important objectives with sustained intensity. Persistence in ruthless focus is different from stubborn dedication to failing approaches. It's the ability to maintain clear direction and concentrated effort while adapting methods and tactics based on feedback and changing circumstances. This requires distinguishing between persistence of purpose, maintaining focus on important objectives, and persistence of method, sticking with specific approaches even when they're not working. This foundation involves building tolerance for the discomfort that often accompanies focused work on challenging objectives. Important goals usually require sustained effort through periods of uncertainty, frustration, and delayed gratification. The ability to continue focused work even when it feels difficult or when progress seems slow is what separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who abandon challenging pursuits. Persistence also requires developing what psychologists call grit, the combination of passion and perseverance for long-term goals. This means maintaining effort and interest despite failures, adversity, and plateaus in progress. Ruthless focus without persistence leads to a series of intense but ultimately abandoned projects rather than sustained achievement. The practice of persistence includes developing internal resources for maintaining motivation during difficult periods. This might involve connecting your focused work to deeper values and purposes, building support systems that reinforce your commitment, or developing habits and rituals that maintain momentum even when enthusiasm wanes. This foundation also involves learning from setbacks and obstacles rather than being derailed by them. Persistent focus treats challenges as information about what needs adjustment, rather than evidence that the objective isn't worth pursuing. This learning orientation helps maintain forward momentum even when progress becomes difficult. Now that you understand the 4 foundations, let's explore specific strategies for building and maintaining ruthless focus in your daily life and work. The goal is to create sustainable systems that consistently direct your mental energy toward what matters most while eliminating everything else. Elimination strategies. Priority audit. Conduct a comprehensive review of all your current commitments, projects, and regular activities. List everything that currently demands your time and attention, then categorize each item as essential, useful, or distraction based on its contribution to your most important objectives. The 80-20 analysis. Identify which 20% of your current activities produce 80% of your meaningful results. These high-leverage activities should become the focus of your concentrated attention, while the remaining 80% become candidates for elimination or significant reduction. Opportunity cost evaluation. Before accepting any new commitment or pursuing any new opportunity, explicitly identify what you would have to give up or reduce to accommodate it. Make trade-offs conscious rather than hoping you can somehow fit everything in. Regular pruning. Schedule monthly reviews to eliminate commitments and activities that are no longer serving your primary objectives. Just because something was important in the past doesn't mean it deserves continued focus as your priorities evolve. Concentration enhancement. Deep work blocks. Schedule regular periods, minimum 90 minutes of uninterrupted time for your most important work. During these blocks, eliminate all potential distractions and engage completely with challenging, high-value activities that require sustained mental effort. Single tasking practice. Commit to giving complete attention to one activity at a time rather than attempting to multitask. Research consistently shows that multitasking reduces both quality and efficiency while increasing stress and mental fatigue. Attention training. Develop practices that strengthen your ability to maintain focus for extended periods. This might include meditation, reading long-form content, or engaging in activities that require sustained concentration and resist immediate gratification. Environment design. Create physical and digital environments that support sustained focus rather than fragment it. This might mean organizing your workspace to minimize distractions, using apps that block distracting websites during work hours, or finding locations where you can work without interruption. Direction setting. Vision clarification. Develop a clear, compelling vision of what you want to achieve and why it matters to you personally. This vision should be specific enough to guide daily decisions and emotionally engaging enough to motivate sustained effort through challenges. Strategic planning. Regularly engage in strategic thinking about how your focused efforts fit into larger patterns and long-term objectives. This prevents your concentration from becoming trapped in busy work that doesn't advance your most important goals. Outcome orientation. Focus on results rather than activities. Regularly ask yourself, what outcomes am I trying to create through my focused work, rather than just what tasks am I supposed to complete today? Regular review. Schedule weekly and monthly sessions to review your progress and adjust your focus based on feedback and changing circumstances. Use these reviews to ensure your concentrated efforts remain aligned with your evolving understanding of what's most important. Persistence building. Obstacle anticipation. Identify the most likely challenges and setbacks you'll encounter while pursuing your focused objectives, and develop specific plans for handling them. This preparation prevents obstacles from derailing your focus when they inevitably arise. Progress tracking. Develop systems for measuring and celebrating incremental progress towards your important objectives. This helps maintain motivation during periods when advancement feels slow or when results aren't immediately visible. Support systems. Build relationships and environments that reinforce your commitment to ruthless focus rather than pressuring you to scatter your attention across multiple competing demands. Recovery practices. Develop sustainable rhythms that include periods of rest and renewal between intense focus sessions. Sustainable focus requires alternating periods of concentrated effort with genuine recovery rather than trying to maintain peak intensity indefinitely. Advanced techniques. Energy management. Learn to align your most important work with your natural energy rhythms rather than trying to maintain consistent focus throughout the day. Schedule your highest priority work during peak energy periods and save routine tasks for lower energy times. Focus triggers. Develop consistent rituals and environmental cues that signal to your mind that it's time for concentrated work. These triggers help you enter focus states more quickly and maintain them for longer periods. Distraction protocols. Create specific procedures for handling interruptions and unexpected demands without completely derailing your focus. This might include designated times for checking messages, standard responses for non-urgent requests, or physical signals that indicate when you're unavailable. Focus metrics. Track and measure your ability to maintain concentrated attention over time. This might include monitoring how long you can work without distraction, measuring the quality of output during focus sessions, or tracking progress toward long-term objectives that require sustained attention.
Living expectations. As you consistently apply these principles and develop ruthless focus, you'll experience profound changes that extend far beyond improved productivity or better time management. You'll discover what it means to live with laser-like precision and purposeful intensity. Exceptional results. One of the most immediate benefits you'll notice is a dramatic improvement in the quality and significance of your achievements. When you concentrate your complete mental energy on carefully chosen objectives, rather than fragmenting it across multiple priorities, your results improve exponentially rather than incrementally. This improvement comes not just from working harder, but from accessing levels of creativity, insight, and execution quality that are only possible with sustained, undivided attention. You'll produce work that surprises even you with its originality and effectiveness. Enhance clarity. Ruthless focus naturally creates mental clarity because you're no longer trying to juggle multiple competing priorities simultaneously. When your attention is concentrated on specific objectives, your thinking becomes sharper, your decision-making improves, and your sense of direction strengthens. This clarity extends beyond work into all areas of your life, as you develop the habit of being selective and intentional about where you direct your mental energy. You'll find that decisions become easier and your actions more aligned with your authentic values and long-term vision. Reduced stress. Paradoxically, focusing intensely on fewer things often leads to feeling less stressed than trying to maintain adequate attention across many priorities. This happens because you're no longer experiencing the constant anxiety that comes from juggling too many responsibilities without giving any of them the attention they deserve. When you can give your chosen objectives the focus they require, you develop confidence in your ability to handle important challenges rather than feeling constantly overwhelmed by competing demands. Competitive advantage. In a world where most people struggle with chronic distraction and scattered attention, the ability to focus ruthlessly becomes an extraordinary competitive advantage. You'll be able to think more deeply, work more creatively, and execute more effectively than those who remain trapped in patterns of fragmented attention. This advantage compounds over time as your focused efforts produce better results, which create better opportunities, which justify even more concentrated attention, leading to an upward spiral of increasing effectiveness and achievement. Personal satisfaction. Perhaps most importantly, living with ruthless focus creates deep personal satisfaction that comes from knowing you're investing your mental energy in what truly matters to you. Instead of feeling pulled in multiple directions by other people's priorities, you'll experience the fulfillment that comes from pursuing your authentic objectives with complete commitment. This satisfaction isn't dependent on external recognition or immediate results, but emerges from the integrity of living in alignment with your deepest values and highest aspirations. You'll develop what researchers call intrinsic motivation, satisfaction that comes from the quality of your engagement itself rather than just external rewards. Legacy building. Ruthless focus enables you to create work and contributions that have lasting impact beyond immediate circumstances. When you concentrate your efforts on objectives that truly matter, you're more likely to achieve results that endure and influence others long after the initial effort is complete. This legacy-building capacity comes from the depth and quality of focused work rather than just the quantity of activities completed. You'll discover that concentrated excellence in specific areas creates more lasting value than scattered competence across many areas. Remember that building ruthless focus isn't about becoming obsessive or unbalanced. It's about developing the mental discipline to identify what deserves your highest quality attention and then giving it that attention without reservation or distraction. The goal isn't to focus ruthlessly on everything, but to be so selective about what you focus on that when you do commit your attention to something, that commitment is absolute and unwavering. This selectivity, combined with intensity, creates the conditions for extraordinary achievement and deep personal fulfillment. As you continue developing these capabilities, you'll discover that ruthless focus isn't just a productivity technique. It's a way of living that transforms both what you accomplish and who you become in the process of accomplishing it. Your focused attention becomes not just a tool for achievement, but a pathway to authenticity, excellence, and meaningful contribution to the world around you.